This is The Fifth Estate, a conversation between young African scholars from the Fort Hall School of Government in Nairobi, Kenya, and Professor Mutahi Ngunyi. As we lay Baba Man, the enigma, to rest today, the country must beg two questions. The first is a question posed by Martin Luther King Jr. He asked, "What is the true measure of a man?" Do you measure a man by how high he climbs when the sun is shining, or by how deep he roots when the storm is raging? Do you measure a man by how he stands when the crowds are cheering, or by how he kneels when no one is watching? Do you measure a man by the praises he receives when he is gone, or by the truth he stubbornly refuses to betray? And do you measure a man by the crowds that follow him when the road is smooth, or by how faithfully he walked through the shadow of the valley of death? How do you measure a man like Raila? And is he truly dead? Do men like this die? And the answer is simple. Baba Man is not dead. He's just planted like a seed. And one day, someday, the seed will blossom. The justice he stubbornly refused to betray will materialize. The agony he suffered as he walked through the valley of the shadow of death will pay off.
The second question that the country must beg has already been asked. Is Raila really dead? As we lower him to his grave, is he truly gone? While in detention at Committee Maximum Prison for 8 years, Baba Man transitioned from being a man to becoming an idea. And this transition happens when society projects its unfinished struggles onto a single figure. For decades, Kenyans have used Raila both as a mirror and as a vessel. A mirror to themselves and a vessel for deferred justice. And by making him this symbol of resistance, Raila lost his private self. He became public property. He ceased being a man. He became an idea. And ideas do not die. As we lower him to his grave, remember this. He's not dead. He is just planted. A leading sociologist named Max Weber called this charismatic routinization. And we use this term for the benefit of the low intellectuals. Max Weber submitted that charisma, like the one Raila had, can be detached from the person. And when the public appropriates it as an idea, the person becomes public property. His followers become irrational, and the idea becomes sacramental. And so we ask, how do you measure a man who ceased to be a man and became an idea? If he is not dead and is just planted, we will measure him using what blossoms from his grave.
What is the measure of a man? How do you measure a man who lost his youth to the struggle for country? A man who had 2 holes in his head created to release pressure from the liberation of country? And yes, Raila had 2 holes drilled through his head 10 years ago. He told us this. How do you measure a man who was detained for 8 years by Mzee Moi, yet he made peace with his jailer with ease? And as one of President Moi's aides revealed, there were plans to kill Baba Man. Another military man revealed that they had loaded Raila on a helicopter, opened the doors asunder, and wanted to throw him off the aircraft and finish him. Yet, Baba Man survived and forgave. How do you measure such a man? A man who believed that if you cannot fly, run. If you cannot walk, crawl. But whatever you do, keep moving. Before he died, he was doing only 1 lap of exercise. But on the day he died, he pushed himself and did 5 laps. Then, his heart burst asunder and died. The man never stopped pushing himself. How do you measure a man like this? Martin Luther King taught us that the true measure of a man is a spiritual scale. It measures how a person stands under pressure, not how they sit in comfort.
Babaman is not dead. He is just planted like a seed. And from his living, something will blossom. One day, someday. Raila is like this young man called Santiago. In a book titled The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. This young man goes from Spain to Egypt to find treasure buried in a pyramid. Treasure that would have made him an alchemist. Someone who turns lead into gold. But when he reaches Egypt, he finds nothing. Zero. There was no treasure. Then he returns back to Spain. And when he arrives disappointed, Santiago discovers that the treasure he was looking for in Egypt was actually buried under a tree in his own backyard. This is how he became an alchemist. In this book, Paulo Coelho teaches us that destiny is not found. It is lived. The young man did not become an alchemist because he found the hidden treasure. He became an alchemist because of the journey he took from Spain to Egypt. Raila's story carries the same truth. He ran for president 5 times. But he did not know that the journey to become a president was the presidency itself. That the journey to the presidency was a mirage that made him a myth. A journey that turns him from a man to an idea. And ideas never die. They only sleepeth. How do you measure a man like this?